All right, my guys, just finished up a 10-mile run to start off the week. Unfortunately, it seems that every time I do a deload week, something goes wrong. So I got in 26 miles last week. The 2 weeks before that, I had 30 plus. So I did like 25 or 26 last week, and came out here today. I was gonna run between like 10 to 15, but I guess I hurt my Achilles yesterday or sometime on today's run. Probably today's run, because it was below freezing when I got out here. And when you get out here below freezing and you're not really warmed up and you take off on the trail and you trip and you got to take a quick, real quick step to catch yourself, and your muscles are cold, I guess bad things happen. But if you can't tell, I got a pretty good limp because my left Achilles is giving me a lot of problems right now. I felt it as early as like half a mile or a mile in today, and then ended up running like 8 1/4, and then I was running with 2 other guys today, and then they quit. And so I got in that, a mile and a half or so by myself, and I probably shouldn't have done that. But I was gonna try to get in like 35 to 40. So I guess now it just depends how quick this Achilles bounces back, because it's not feeling good right now. So we'll see what happens this week, and I'll keep you guys updated. Something new every week, I guess. Merry Christmas, guys. It's Wednesday, Christmas Eve. Taking Blue out for a little dog walk today. The calf injury. So, hurt my calf Sunday. Monday was really bad. I was limping really bad Monday. My calf was so sore to the touch that like I couldn't cross my legs like if I laid down at night, because just it laying on top of my other leg was unbearable. And then yesterday, if I was up walking around for a few minutes, I got to where I could walk normal on it, and pain had got a lot better Tuesday. And then here we are at Wednesday. Pretty well walking normal again. I've even jogged around the house a little bit today. Still kind of sore, but if this recovery process continues as it's going, then I may try to run a marathon tomorrow on Christmas. Or at least do like a pretty big run. But I got off work today, and basically wasted all day, because if you can't tell, I'm kind of sick. Started coming down with this cold on Monday. I had a little bit of a cough Monday, and then Tuesday I had a real bad headache and coughed all day yesterday. And then I came home, I think I took a nap yesterday, and then slept in real late this morning. And it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I've done taking another nap today, and Blue's pooping. Whoa, Blue. But I've already taken a nap today, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And before I got out here, I had 1,000 steps in today, if that tells you how much I've been laying around. I just don't feel like doing anything today. But we're waiting on Dad to get home from work so we can open up some stockings and maybe 1 or 2 small gifts, and then we're actually going to do our Christmas tomorrow. But I had like 2 hours to kill, and I'm on like a 50-day streak, 40 or 50-day streak of getting in 10,000 steps a day. I was like, well, I would hate to lose that, so come this way, Blue. It's like, I would hate to lose that, so me and Blue out here getting our steps in. Ain't that right, Blue? So hopefully this cold clears. It just seems to be the deload weeks, man. Even during lifting, every time I took a week where I did less as a deload week, I seemed to get sick or like have an injury flare up, and like I always paid for it the week after that I did a deload week. So it doesn't make any sense. I wanted to get in like 35 or 40 miles this week, but so far it's Wednesday and I've got 10, and I'm somewhat injured and sick now, so may have 2 deload weeks in a row. I'm not real sure. We'll see how things play out, but feels good to get out here and breathe some fresh air, get in some good air in my lungs. But anyways, I've been eating cough drops like candy, and so I'm gonna quit talking and get back to walking. So I'll catch you guys later. All right, guys, it is Friday, the day after Christmas, and I ran a marathon yesterday. It was by far the hardest run I've ever done to date. It was pretty bad. I would have recorded last night, but I figured my speakers were probably full of moisture and it would have been all muffled. Felt pretty good till about mile 15 or 16. That's when things, started to hurt. Like that's when I started to feel some like soreness, and like my hips started getting pretty tight. And then about mile 20 or 21, man, they really took a turn for the worse. So after like mile 20, I had to like keep stopping and like pausing my watch and telling myself, dude, don't give up right now. Like you're so close to a marathon. And then so like I'd take like a little minute break and then get back to it. So running time, I tracked it on my watch at like 4 hours and like 30 minutes or something. The total time was like 4 hours and 58 minutes. So just short of a 5-hour marathon. That's pitiful. But it's a pretty big goal for me, pretty big milestone, I guess. I guess I could now call myself a marathon runner. So I got into bed at like 8 last night and woke back up at like 8 this morning, and my watch tracked 3 hours of sleep just because, like my core body temperature was probably so high. My heart rate is really high. So I got into bed about 8. Got up at like 10:30 or 11 to go pee, and I checked my heart rate before I got out of bed, and it was like 100 beats a minute. I've been, trying to sleep for 2 hours. So I've been sick and injured all week, still congested. I'm kind of over the sore throat now. But I had a calf injury Sunday, and so I've kind of been taking it easy up until yesterday. But we got a marathon in the books, boys. I have no idea how I'm supposed to double that in like 3 months. Well, really 2.5 months. I don't know, man. Everything is hurting on me this morning. Like my lower back, like my erectors are super stiff. Hamstrings are tight and sore. My calves are sore. Glutes are kind of sore. Everything is just in like a dull, aching pain right now. I don't really feel like doing much. But I got another Christmas dinner to go to today. Gonna eat big there. I burned like 4,000 calories yesterday. So yesterday was a big day. We got a marathon in the books. about all I know to say about that. Pretty happy with it. You know, I'm happy to say I've ran a marathon. But I was pretty well at my breaking point yesterday. Like, I paused my watch right after I hit 25 miles. And I was like, dude, I don't want to run anymore. Like, you know, I was just done. And I told myself, I was like, all right, you know, I got to run this last mile without, you know, pausing my watch. Like, I need to run my last mile unbroken. So I ran my last mile unbroken. I think I did a little walk break, like 30 seconds, like right after I hit 26. And then, you know, kept it going after that. I started out holding like 9s and 10s for like the first like 10 miles. And then my pace kept getting slower after about mile 15. But like, I felt like I was running just as fast. Like, the intensity was still there. And by the end of it, like a 12 or 13 minute mile felt like what a 9:30 was feeling like at the beginning of the race. So I was just done, man. Just absolutely done. But still got some work to put in, so I'll catch you guys next week. So I also want to add that the majority of that run was by myself with, you know, no music or anything too. So that may have played a part in like how hard I thought it was. My little brother, he did the first like 8 miles with me, like 8 1/4, and he played some music, you know, some little rock and roll bangers through that. I'm trying to think of some songs we listened to. Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Enter Sandman by Metallica. A few other songs like that, you know, genre of music, I guess. But then he dipped out about 8 1/4. He had to go home and get ready for work. And then, so, you know, I did the remaining of the 26 miles by myself with no music, nobody to talk to or anything. So it was a very painful run. You know, tested my ability to keep going, and I was pretty well broken, boys. That's the closest I've been to just giving up and, you know, being okay with quitting. Like I said, you know, there's a lot of times I would pause my watch and, you know, put my hands on my knees and been like, dude, you just got to keep going. You can't give up right now. And then, you know, take 30 seconds and get back to it. And then after the run, I had about a half-mile walk, you know, back to my house. And my legs and my body were in so much pain that I could only walk like 10 or 15 steps at a time. And then I would like sit down and, you know, let everything kind of flush out. And then I'd be like, all right, let's get up and, you know, walk for 15, 30 seconds again. And then, you know, it's just like the pain started, you know, becoming unbearable again, and I'd have to sit back down. So it took me like 20 minutes to make it a half-mile home yesterday. Wild stuff, man. Wild stuff. Definitely got some more preparation for the body to do. But I'm interested to see, you know, how quickly I'll recover, and, you know, how quick that I'll be back in running shape. I guess I've got in 36 miles this week, so we'll see. But all right, now, catch you next week.